Hey guys, my name is Nick, otherwise known as NCI Resale, and I am a full-time seller of other people's junk on the internet. Otherwise known as I am a full-time reseller on Poshmark and Instagram and a little bit of eBay, and I have been selling for 5 years on Poshmark coming up this July. I get asked all the time for tips or tricks for people who are just starting out on Poshmark. So today I'm going to make a video of 5 things I wish I would have known when I first started on the app and as I began my progression to becoming a successful reseller on Poshmark. This video is applicable to people who are just starting out, people who have full-blown businesses, and everybody in between. So I hope you guys watch the whole thing. If you guys like this kind of content, please like the video and let me know below. Without further ado, let's get into it. I have my list. You know me in lists. So my first tip, and this might be dry, but I cannot pound this into your head enough. You may have heard it from other people, but I'm gonna tell you again. Don't make it a point to spend a bunch of time community sharing. When you community share, so Poshmark makes this huge deal about Posh love and sharing is a very unique aspect to the Poshmark app. That being said, I spent, and I kid you not, countless hours sharing other people's stuff when I first started on Poshmark and as I progressed in my first couple years. I mean, I would sit down for an hour a couple times a week and just share everything on my feed. What did that do for me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You get nothing out of sharing other people's listings because that doesn't make the item pop up in just shared in the search feature. Instead, it just pops up in your feed to your follower account. And to be honest, nobody shops from the feed. The vast majority of shopping on Poshmark, as with any other selling platform, comes from the search function, the search bar. So say I'm shopping for new jeans, I'm going to type in the search, skinny jeans size 4, say I'm a size 4. I'm not going to go on my feed and for hours like Instagram or Facebook to find a pair of jeans that I want to buy. So this brings me to number 1, point B. Instead of spending all of your time sharing other people's stuff, spend your time sharing your own stuff. Self-shares. Because what self-sharing does is that it boosts your item to the top of just shared for when you do the search feature. Now what I mean by that is when, again, say I want size 4 skinny jeans again. I search up size 4 skinny jeans and it auto-populates a ton of size 4 skinny jeans. Well, the default filter on Poshmark when you search something is just shared. So that means if I shared my closet, if I shared my listing, it is going to pop up higher in search than say something that was shared 4 days ago, but that person shared a bunch of other people's stuff in the meantime. Now, it is commonly said that Poshmark has a magic algorithm that you need to appease by sharing other people's stuff, by self-sharing, by direct sharing, by liking, by buying, by selling. I don't buy it. And the reason I don't buy it is that I on multiple occasions, have talked to the people at Poshmark who develop the app. At PoshFest, this last PoshFest, I actually talked to the development team for a solid hour when there was events going on that I wasn't at, and I think that was one of the most beneficial things I've ever done because they told me all of the different ins and outs of the app, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and one of the things I asked them was, is there an algorithm? And they just frankly said, no. Well, there is an algorithm. Everything on the internet has an algorithm. I should rephrase that. Is there an algorithm that makes one seller be favored over another like there is on eBay? And the answer to that they gave me was no. Flat out no. That's why Poshmark pushes sharing so much, especially self-sharing, is that it allows the platform to be a fair platform for all the people on it. No matter if you're a big seller or a little seller, everybody has an equal opportunity to have their items seen by the public who are shopping. So, moral of the story, when I started on Poshmark, I spent so much time sharing other people's stuff and barely any time sharing mine, and I wish they would have been flip-flopped, because that will grow your business and help your sales immensely. All right, point number 2. This may seem obvious, but it's something that I did not do, and that is to research brands and styles that sell well on the app. Poshmark's not always the best about releasing data, but what they do release multiple times a year are reports about brands and styles that are hot on the app. Pay attention to those. Pay attention to, on the shop tab, the trending brands. Pay attention to sites like Net-a-Porter, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom. What brands are they pushing as hot sellers right now? Because with that knowledge of the styles and brands, you will be able to stock your closet with better inventory that people want. Because ultimately, I think the thing that holds a lot of people back on the app from being successful resellers is having inventory that people don't want. And that might sound frank and callous, and I don't want it to come across that way, but it's the basic rule of selling stuff, is that you have to have stuff that people want in order for people to come and pay you. And I'm a firm believer that everything will ultimately find an owner, but I don't want to have a purse for 2 years that sells for $6. That's a true story from March. I had this purse that was a good brand. I think it was a Coach bag that I had for literally 2 years. I relisted it. It was an old style bag, not even like a trendy old style. It was just an old style bag, and I ended up selling it for $6 because the space in my inventory was more valuable to me than having that bag anymore. And that just testifies to the fact that you have to have items that are in demand to sell quickly, to have a high return on investment and a fast turnaround in your store. And the best way to do that is to verse yourself in those styles and brands that do well and go out and actively seek that inventory for your business. That does not mean that the stuff has to be expensive. I sell Ann Taylor, I sell Banana Republic, I sell Gap all the time. But what I do is you have to price that stuff competitively. I sell that stuff in the $20 to $25 range. There are people who price that stuff in the $70 to $80 range, and it may sell, but it may take a really long time to sell. So you have to know where the comps of those items are and sell items at market value. You can't create market value. You have to find what the market value is and follow it. My third tip for you guys of stuff that I really wish I would have known or followed when I started my business is that you don't need social media to be successful on Poshmark. You don't. I hear people say that all the time, and it is not true. That's not to say that social media isn't beneficial for a reselling business. My social media account at NCI Resale is huge for my business, but it does not directly impact my Poshmark business unless I'm running a sale or something. I do the majority of my sales within the app, as most 98% of people I know do. I have a friend, her name's Marissa, she's amazing. She has an Instagram, it's on private, has 120 followers. She does $6,000 gross on the app every month. She does perfectly fine without fancy social media accounts. I know many people that I've made connections with locally who don't have big social media presences that run absolutely amazing resale businesses netting 6 figures a year. I think it's kind of a toxic cycle to get into, especially for myself personally, to think, well, if I don't have a huge following on social media, I'm not worth it, or my business can't succeed, because that's just not true. It's not true. You are not defined by your follower count. I couldn't care less about my follower count. I mean, I'm so happy that as many people follow me as they do, and they find that my content's valuable. But same thing with Poshmark. Don't worry about your follower count on Poshmark. It literally means nothing. You don't have to have a high follower count on Poshmark or on Instagram or a friend count on Facebook to be successful as a business. Tip number 4, this one I really did struggle with for a long time, and I'm here to tell you, the best pictures on Poshmark are ones that are a plain white background that get to the point. I spent so much time trying to make a pretty or aesthetically pleasing photo setup, and honestly, it distracted my buyers from the items. I would do flat lays with a bunch of stuff in them. I would do hanging stuff with like a garland and a sign and a mannequin, and that honestly did not help my business at all. I finally transitioned about 2 years ago. I got a light kit. I painted a wall white, and I made a little photo studio. I use a gold hanger for my tops, and I have an IKEA hanger for my bottoms, and that keeps my closet aesthetically together. I love the gold hanger and I love the IKEA hanger. That adds a little nick touch to the pictures, but ultimately they are plain pictures with a white background. White backgrounds help SEO, search engine optimization, so it's easier for people to find your object on Google if they're looking for it, if there's a white background behind it. And I think it's easier for a buyer to know what's for sale, what's the condition of an item, what's the true color of an item when there's not a bunch of things to distract from it. Now, there are people I know who have not plain backgrounds and do just fine. My friend Haley has a garland. My friends Kevin and Kristen at Voyage is a Verb have their signature plant, but none of these things distract from the items themselves. You can have a signature in your photograph, something that makes it obviously your picture, but that's different than having 18 pieces of clothing and jewelry and shoes and a book and a wine glass and a whole bottle of tequila and whatever in your picture. Like, what the heck's for sale? So let me restate this in a very simple manner. Make your picture simple enough for the buyer to know at a glance what's for sale and why they would want to buy it. I wish I would have known that when I started, so I didn't waste all of my time and quite a bit of money on props and stuff that isn't necessary to running a business. All you need is a hanger and some sort of solid color wall. My fifth and last tip for you guys, if you want to level up your business, or if you already have a business and you're looking to revamp, or if you just want another tip, it is find what you love to sell and run with it. That is super vague, I know, but here's what I mean. If you have a very defined style and find that you like selling this one thing, and if you buy stuff outside of it, you never list it, it sits, and finally if you do list it, you always list it for super low because you just want to get rid of it. Go with your style. Sell what you like to sell, because that's what you're going to be motivated to list and motivated to share and motivated to ultimately sell. Now, if you're somebody who likes selling everything in the kitchen sink, do that. If you're motivated to list everything with no exception, do that. If you love doing that, keep doing that. If you have a balance in the middle where you like to sell some things that are very your style and you like to put them together and you like to sell them, but also like to sell stuff maybe outside of your comfort zone, that's where kind of I fall in my business, do that. But find what you like to do and run with it. If you like to satisfy a niche, if you're a vintage seller and love to sell vintage and that's what you want to do it. Don't be discouraged by other people selling different things than you. That is something important that I wish I would have known when I started my business, and I still need to think about that now. When I pick an item up to put in my closet, I think, do I like this item enough to sell it? And if the answer is no, I either consign it or I donate it again, because I know if I'm not motivated to sell something, I won't sell it. Or I won't sell it for a profit margin that makes it worth it to me. Those are my 5 biggest tips I wish I would have known when I started Poshmark, or I wish somebody would have told me when I started Poshmark, that I apply to my business now. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you like the content that I provide, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel. I'm getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.